I'd like to introduce you our next speaker, Agnieszka Doniec. She shared with us that actually she learned her agility being a mom of 3, and in her spare time she loves handicraft like crocheting, sewing.
And in addition to that, having spent quite a few years in Motorola, she gained experience in many leadership roles, engineering roles, managerial roles, and together with me and a lot of colleagues here, she was actively engaged into safe transformation, taking the value stream engineer role. And I'm really pleased to introduce Aga with her complementary view on our lessons learned from SAFE. So stay with us. Let's welcome Aga.
Thank you. Hello. There is some seats in, like down front, guys. There is. You don't have to sit in the back. Presentation. Great. That's the nice start. Now it's usually I cannot like type my password. Yeah. Yeah, great. Okay, about the agility and my family, I think this will be great, like the bridge, because as Anya said, I am a mother of 3, so that's like the that's really you need to be agile to actually manage all of this. And we are on the holiday, and you know when you are in the holiday with the kids, it's like the agility master class, And at the second week of our trip, when we have sort of like we need to adjust to the new situation because my son with my husband needs to go back to home, and I am with my 2 daughters in our journey, and my little daughter, like the 4 years, she say, "Okay, Mom, relax. We are on the holiday. Not everything needs to finish with success." So that's that's a bit of the bridge to my presentation. Why we failed to implement SAFE? Probably not every scaling transformation needs to be success, and that's let's start with that. Okay, I see almost like everyone I know, but that will be good. I will try to be like the fast with like that, to leave like the 15 minutes to like the question answer, maybe some interaction with you guys. But in case any questions inside my presentation, that's also like let me know. First of all, before I will go to observation I made, maybe just a few slides to set up the baseline with you guys. And it was really great to have the presentation yesterday about like the agility. So I don't know. I know you are brave audience, so maybe someone will tell what does agility mean for you guys actually. What's the one-liner which is important in terms of all this agile crap talk we are having everywhere? Okay. Okay. Oh, okay, that's a good one. And yeah, for me, it's also like I really like the keynotes yesterday, because of the keynote there was a lot about the ownership, about the responsibility, and about the discipline. Yes, that agility is actually, this is the really important in being agile, to actually have the discipline, like understand what is your goal and be responsible for the team goal and not for your own your own goals. That was like the really interesting for me, and like for me that is like the really big thing on the agility. And so when you know that the team is agile, actually how you are when you can say, okay, my team is agile, now it's it's on the good path of being like the really agile team. Michał, what's your you have always this, all your team is agile, so, and do the TDD. Yeah? Okay. I think it's, yeah. Anyone else? Philip, we have one. Okay. Okay. Magic.
You should try. I don't know if you can know that. I think that you can feel that.
Yeah, but actually that's true. When you like as a manager, like know that okay, your team is mature, responsible, and meet commitments, and actually you don't need to worry that they will just like they don't tell you that there is something wrong, or when you are like you are not at work, you don't need to worry that, okay, I didn't, I didn't precisely say what needs to be done, because they know. Yeah. So I think that's also important when and I agree with Maciek, that's you actually feel it, you can do a spider chart, which is also a good indicator, but it's actually how you feel about it. Okay, so now we have more teams. We have, 5 Scrum teams or more. Now it's, the natural is to, now it's the time for scaling. So what is the key element, and what is, I think it was mentioned a lot also. What is the key and why we're actually scaling, and what is the key, the item which you need to have, or it's the most, the important if you are scaling. Okay. Good one. I think anyone else? Yeah. I think I will go to this side of the water then. Yeah, I think the transparency, trust is the key, the foundation, and it's the scaling agile. In my opinion, it's about the alignment also. It's about the get more teams aligned, or a lot of the teams deliver the same goal, to get them aligned. Yes, and get them aligned and have this kind of and together with the communication to make sure they're working on the same goal and they understand the goal. So if that's a need to have this alignment across the different teams, if you have the transparency and trust, then you can start actually talking about the scaling. Now the SAFe. Anyone remember something from SAFe? Layers, great. Layers, that's the first and really the mechanism which SAFe, okay, organize the framework and put it in our minds. But I think it was really good, that what Michał was mentioned yesterday. Those layers are really easy to implement. They are just so easy to implement, especially for the company which is the big. We have a lot of dependencies, a lot of people working in the same for the same product. It's really really easy to implement and really easy to blame the upper layers. That's for sure, because they always do the poor job. But actually, I don't know if you see it. Actually, that was, I look at the Agile Swarming from 2 years ago, and I talk about also similar topic, and I think I still believe it is the same, the state now. That what we didn't implement correctly, and we actually didn't pay attention at all, is the item which SAFe have really good, the well documented, of course, but it's really the same item in every the scaling framework. It is the principle, the SAFe principle, the SAFe the lean agile mindset, and the core values. That are really the key elements which I think SAFe is really good at. And if we will really pay so much attention to those, comparing to the layers, which we all know they exist and they are well defined, it's really maybe we will go to the different direction. Yes. One of the also key SAFe principles, the first one is take economic view, which of course, like when you're talking to the business people, to the executive, that's really great principles that you really need to evaluate that what you are doing actually give you money. But actually underneath, under this principle, it's also about the delivering faster, having all the mechanisms and practice to actually deliver faster to the customer in the PI cadence. Yeah, so if you don't have those kind of principles implemented, or in the company mindset, that what you are building on top of that, it's just don't work, because you don't have like these principles like that to start with. So that just only to set the common like the understanding, and now my observation. And I am usually like the talk fast. If I am talking too fast, let me know. Okay, so now why we failed to implement SAFe. Michał mentioned a lot of also good things yesterday, from really also perception, but also from the analysis. And as Michał already mentioned, I was really actively participating in the SAFe transformation. I was value stream engineer for one of the largest value stream with the 3 trains, but actually it was the value stream which, if there was any feature crossing the different value stream, it goes to our value stream, which was a bit like the really complicated setup. But with that, I was in the SAFe conferences to try to also learn what is this SAFe actually about, how to implement it, what mistakes we are doing, why it's not working as we expected. We have a lot of discussion with other colleagues, they have a community of practice with the other value stream engineers. So we really tried hard to actually improve and be better, but we still failed. So therefore, this is my observation also from day-to-day work to make it happen. The first and obvious observation, which I think most of the transformation, it's make the same mistake, which is make too many changes at once. When you make too many changes at the same time, you actually don't know which of them are failing. So what we did as Michał mentioned and described yesterday, what we did during the moving to SAFe, we say, okay, we have this organization which looks similar. Okay, console do the same in Nastro and Dymetra. Why they don't put them on the one train? It's just easy. So we changed this organization structure. We changed the teams. We changed the people who manage the teams. And in the same time, we say, okay, now you don't have this technology view where you have the customer and send the release to the customer, but instead we will have the value stream, which actually cannot deliver anything without any other value stream. And with that, it was really hard to understand how to improve. We've done a lot of the inspect adapt. We do a lot of the discussion. Okay, how to change it, how to be more transparent, more how to align in the easier way. The first pre-PI planning was the 150 people, which was a nightmare, and it was really a waste of time. So we do the thinking, okay, that doesn't make sense. How to improve? What we need to actually add or remove to actually make it working? Because the problem is also that the SAFe doesn't give you the really detailed the tools to do that. It's the framework. So when you have the too many changes, you actually don't know which of them it's good and which is bad, and which of them actually you should repair first to have an effect. So we really struggle and of course the easy and the first item we were saying, okay, value stream are wrongly divided, but we say we got the information, okay, yes, but that you cannot change in the first place. So then we need to work with this constraint. Okay, the next one, which I really think we are still struggle. Even if we are going with our new way of scaling in the different value stream, it's the common understanding of agility between business and development. That was actually also important from the keynotes yesterday, when this was really also one of the key elements. And I will give you an example which I have from our daily work. If you go to the business people and if you ask the person who will prepare sign the contract with the customer and will ask you to deliver, and they are saying, and if I didn't mention that I was working for the last 2 years on the program in the program management office, which means I need to deliver software on time with the quality. And when I am talking to my the business persons and about, okay, but you give us this change in the really last moment, we can probably deliver it, but you need to understand the consequences. So the agility in their mind is, okay, but we are agile. We are now deliver faster, and we are deliver cheaper. So it doesn't require the discipline from my side to actually give you more the information earlier, because we are agile and we are actually can deliver more with the same number of people. That is what agility mean for the people from the business side. And also that's also interesting from the risk management perspective. I am right now the thing that the people from the business, they really like to understand that there is a risk. Okay. And I am usually saying, okay, there is a risk that we might not be on time because of this and that. And yeah, okay, we can accept this risk, but the acceptance of risk it's only to the moment that the risk actually became an issue. Because if that became an issue, that's not good. because we have a deadline and because we have this customer waiting for it. So the risk, accepting the risk at the beginning, it's fine, but accepting the fact that it's becoming an issue, that's another story, which it's not the currently appreciate. On the other hand, from the development perspective, how this look like. And again, I have in my head also this kind of customer deadline and the D2 which we have. And sometimes when talking to development team, they say, okay, but we are agile. You cannot give us a deadline. You cannot give us a hard D2 date because we don't know when we are finishing. Yeah. Because we are just planning the first sprint, and I don't care that the customer will roll out in 6 months from now. Which is also, I think it's not about being agile, because being agile is to deliver on time, to deliver within the budget, and understand what are the scope variants you can actually have to deliver this common goal with all teams together. So I think that's I think we are still, and I think it's not only on the Motorola the issue, and I think it's really when you have a lot of the big team and a lot of dependency and a lot of different perspective, having the common understanding about the agility is a key, because otherwise we are talking different languages, actually. Yeah, the third one, which is I can talk about this for ages, because I really like to optimize the processes. I really like that the process actually do the minimum its needs. But in fact, that is the third observation, that we really had a complicated process and dependencies. Because of the structure, we needed to build also a different the processes, and also look at the align a lot of people with the same set of the information, because we deliver complex the systems. Yes, we deliver complex system to the public safety the customer, which required that it's work, yes, and it works, and they have also the requirements which we need to fulfill, and also the architecture. It's not simple. Yes, it's not the web browser application which you can apply and you can upgrade overnight. But on top of that, yeah, and you remember the slides, I stole it from Michał, about how we are set up our value stream. And with that, I would like to only say one point. This is the how many lines of communication you have, depending on the number of people. It ends on the 14 people when it's sum up to the 91 communication lines. And here was what we have. Having only in mind value stream engineering and RTEs, we have 10 value stream and 10 trains. And as I mentioned, because we cannot deliver value separately, we actually end up with having the communication, all the value stream engineer and all the RTEs all together. So it was the 16 people, which you need to get aligned. Okay, what we want to achieve next PI, what is important and what is not important, and if there is an issue, if we can work on them. And if you will look additional to the 4 release manager, we actually need to release those products like the sneakers, baton, or whatever, the tweaks to the market. Actually, it takes 20 people. So those 20 people need to actually really understand what is the goal of the corporation. What is the trade-offs you need to make in order to deliver something to the customer? And actually, if you cannot if you cannot have any plan to deliver what you need to deliver, actually to make it transparent. And I agree, the most important part is the transparency, but the transparency when you have, this is only the number of people, the sort of scrum masters or whatever, this kind of the people who needs to organize the work. But there was much more people we need to interact, the architects, the product owners, or maybe the business owners, yes, who have the people reporting to them. It was really before the PI planning. I think we have the pre-PI planning. And this week for me was really exhausted, because I was running like a crazy over the whole our green office and to say, okay, do you know what you need to deliver, and are there any open item we need to fix, and that was really complicated, and we tried to reduce that. So I must say we try to make sure we have this alignment earlier. We know what needs to be what is important, what are the trade-off, and funny thing, we end up with the I think just the API or 2 before we say we are not doing safe anymore. There was a meeting when we have all the value stream owner, the executive level, all the value stream engineers, some of the RTE, and we go through okay, so what now we need to deliver and if that's even possible. So it's end up with like the really like the meeting on the high level when we talk about okay every single item and the challenges we had with that. So that was really like because of this also structure, it was really complicated from this perspective. Okay. And the last one, maybe it should be the first one. I think we really lacked clear success criteria. Apart from the lacking of having really the vision why we are doing it, or like the purpose why we are doing it, we also didn't know how to measure that we are going in the right direction. So instead of that we don't have the clear success criteria, actually everyone have their own opinion, their own perception, if we are going into the right direction or not. And as I mentioned, the trends blame the value stream, that it was not efficient. Value stream blame the portfolio, that it's probably doesn't look right. And actually, we could just like rely on the perception. Okay, we are not delivering versus okay, like but actually maybe we don't in this one technology, but maybe we do in another one. But actually, nobody was able to say that actually SAFe and all the agile transformation actually give us a positive results or not. So therefore, it is hard to say, okay, now it's maybe time to inspect, adapt, or now it's time to stop, because that was really really undefined for starting to living. So I don't. But I hope you are still, listen. Okay, so that was for observation, which, from my opinion, from my perspective, was the key. Why we failed. But actually, I really do think that we really learn a lot. So we learned a lot over those 2 years when we tried scaling Agile, try a different approach, changing the model from waterfall to agility. That was really a huge change, yes. And we learned a lot over those years. First of all, what we've learned, it's really minimum viable product. That we really start to think about the active scope management on each layer. We are actually promote the discussion about okay, what is actually needed versus what is maybe not needed or can be delivered later. It's really beneficial also how we are thinking about the initiative epics and how we are breaking down this the scope to smaller chunk, to be able to deliver to our integration test faster, get the faster feedback. And I know that for in case of minimum viable product, we need to also think about, okay, minimum sellable product, yes? Because sometimes for our customer, they don't care if we deliver them something. They only care about, okay, what we actually sell them and what is in the tender and what is in the contract, the customer and Motorola sign. So sometimes minimum viable product, it's not the same as the product we can sell, but it's actually also, we start thinking about the scope differently, and we are trying to, and also how we divided the scope, how we can integrate it, and how to test it in the smaller chunk, which can give us a faster feedback loop. Shorten cycle time. Probably we still have a long cycle time for the releasing, our big system. But actually before this but I think it's the cycle time in total, the lead time from the time when we have, okay, we know what needs to be delivered, we know that the contract was signed, till the product when we actually ship to this customer, it's actually shortened. verify the previous diametral releases when before the project initiation till the shipment was a year and 7 months. So that was actually the time when we start thinking about the project, start thinking about the scope, start shaping maturation and development and do development. Right now with the release we are planning right now, we have in it a few weeks ago, and we are shipping in June. So it's not even a year, which is really showing that we really shorten the cycle time as a total. Yes, probably that might be right now the way that we are doing the work differently. We are doing the phase in parallel. We are doing the maturation of the scope together with actually development. We are doing development in the same time as we are starting testing. So we make those kind of change from the waterfall model to be more the agile and have those phases in parallel. Processes and tools. I think that's the really big lessons we learned. As I mentioned, SAFe doesn't give you a tool. SAFe give you a framework, give you a promise that it will be better, but actually they don't know how to do that because they are not they are not on your company. So all the processes on the tool, all the tools need to be adjusted to the needs you have and to your business model. And I think we learn a lot over over these 2 years, especially on the tools. I know Asha mentioned about Jira, about all the journey we do with the tooling. I think it's really good that right now we have one tool, Jira, which is used to everything we are almost everything we are doing. And you can find information easy and actually have this kind of alignment with the same tool across the board, which is really, really important. And when you are scaling and you don't have a tools which scales with you, that's the problem. Yes, right now I think we are in the good shape with that, and also with the processes. As we look at we try a lot of the agile processes, and we are now thinking differently about how we develop the process and how we develop the software with the continuous integration, which also was mentioned here, with the item like the Kanban, or looking at the cycle time. We are for the epics initiatives. That's really a lot of learning for us, for all of us, how those new tools, new processes can be actually used for us to look at the system we are doing. Yes. And test automation investment. I think this was and I think it's still a struggle we have, that because we want to in order to deliver fast, in order to deliver the more efficient, you have to have the automation test. And when you will think about the systems and products which are 20 plus years old, it's automation. It's really not so easy. And I think the big advantages was that we really invest a lot in the automation, and actually the executive and the people with a budget actually recognize that this is actually investment we need to make. This is not something you will do next release. It is not something you will do in 2 years from now. It's actually the investment which we need to do right now in order to be more efficient and have this delivering faster. So that's really good lessons and good thing which will stay with us. Okay, and the final slide, and we have 20 minutes before finishing, so that's good. I think Philip mentioned before my presentation, Agnieszka believed that SAFe is right framework, but we only implemented wrongly. Actually, I think it's like it's a bit right. Yeah, I don't think SAFe is really bad framework. I think when we will take the same and actually. During my like the value stream engineer like the role, I really read a lot about other frameworks. I was thinking, okay, I really need to understand how like how the LESS is doing that. What is like the Nexus? What is like the Spotify? How they are doing it? Yeah, and actually. And even I was like helping one of the like the persons in Motorola to write a master thesis, how the implementation of SAFe in Motorola might look like in LESS framework, yes. And from my perspective, I think when we will do the same steps, we will fail the same. So if we will do just as we did, meaning going to the scaling with every with the whole organization in one go, changing the structure in the same time, doesn't have those kind of principles, really like the understanding and have a good feeling that, okay, we have agile teams, we have like the ownership, we have responsibility, we have this discipline for delivering on time. And without that, if we will go to any other framework, I think the result will be just the same. Because the scaling agile, it's really like really needs this discipline, really needs the foundation at the beginning, but also really needs to have a clear success criteria, clear purpose, why we are doing it. Because without that, any framework will be just like the fake one, and we'll just have a different problems, and we will just complain for the same struggles. I think that's all. Any questions? Maybe question, maybe I don't know, maybe something. Go ahead, Michał.
Hello. Yeah, so I wanted to say thank you and appreciate two things that I learned from this. So thank you for this great illustration of complexity, how linear adding of copy-paste layers results in non-linear communication complexity. I lacked that yesterday, so I'm going to steal this one. So this is the first one, and the second one is I appreciate the story about the train blaming the value stream for their failure and the value stream blaming portfolio for their failure. This is exactly what happens in waterfall. So developers blame, so the testers blame developers, and developers blame designers, and designers blame architects. So this is exactly what happens in waterfall, and the outcome will be exactly like the waterfall. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
This.
Okay, here Michał has questions.
One. Okay.
Oh,
I have a question. During my
I know value stream sucks, I know.
yeah. She was my value stream engineer, yeah, just to clarify. So you mentioned that without basics, of course, any other framework would fail. I don't know if I got it properly. I mentioned on my slides that we just select the wrong framework as well. So I just wonder, do you think that with knowledge we have right now, if someone decide to implement SAFe, can we success now?
Yeah, I think yes. I think that's the possibility that we could actually succeed with the SAFe framework. I understand like the layers, it's copy paste. That's probably not like the good approach, but I think you are able to have value stream. You are able to have independent trains which will deliver the value, and maybe in case of like the maybe we should only focus on the train, or I don't know, 2 trains. And that's it, yes, because I think what we like from the beginning we make this this transformation really complicated because we put it to the old teams, like all the structure together. And I think if you will look at the, principle and the core, building quality, which means you need to have a test. You need to have a really fast feedback loop that what you do, it's actually right, yes? You need to have this discipline to actually have someone on the value stream, meaning, solution architect working with the trained architects to actually make a solution, which is the right one, and also adjust, yes? And I think it is possible to implement SAFe in the way it will working. Probably, you can adjust. You probably doesn't. I agree with the what Michał was saying. Having a PI planning with the 150 people maybe doesn't make sense, but it can probably be done on the Scrum level. Right now in Dymetra we are not doing like the SAFe anymore as we used to, but actually our we don't call it PI planning or post-PI planning, we call it alignment meeting. But this is the meeting when we have, all the POs, when they are like bringing only the information from the Scrum teams, okay, what they plan in the longer, what is the prediction or like the forecast for the next 3 months or 2 months. And actually we have only like the discussions which you don't need to involve every single developer, but actually to get the core team aligned on the what is important for the next the few months, and what is actually the focus area, what are the customers out there waiting for the solution, and what are still open items we need to fix or work for the next sprint or 2. So I think it is like the possible to have the mechanism and the framework as SAFe implemented and adjust the way it's working.
This might sound hilarious, but it's a serious question.
From my holidays, no.
You started with why we failed with SAFe.
Yeah.
Then you said that we didn't have a clear success criteria.
Yeah, so we didn't fail.
Adding on top of that the warm words that you added at the end of the SAFe, and taking into consideration, this is the serious part, taking into consideration the way we work, especially in Dymetra right now, would you rather consider the implementation of SAFe a success?
It's actually a tricky question. Yeah, I think with some of the aspect, I think you're right that we succeed with train the whole corporation about what agility actually means, what is agile about, and that actually we succeed in the sense that right now, okay, we are questioning the status quo. We are questioning all the business requirements we are gain a lot. And with this context, I agree. We have a lot of success. Even with the changing this mindset. Looking at the waterfall approach, we do really good over the last 20 plus years. Changing this waterfall model to the more agile, I think this was successful. Yeah, that right now we have the automated integration test. We have the installation overnight and not spending a week in the lab to actually make it working. I think there are a lot of items which we can treat as success. Yes. Okay. Anyone else?
Do you consider that in Dymetra you are still during the transition?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have success criteria? I have the same question for my value stream now, but
yeah, that's actually really, really good. I think we are still in the transition, meaning we are still not having the we still know that we want to be more agile. Yeah, meaning to have more the faster feedback loop, to have a shorten the test cycle or deliver the faster. We have a lot of discussion about the monthly releases or frequent releases, which we know we are not there yet. But actually, that's true. We don't have a really clear like the success criteria. Yeah, what we need to achieve. I think it's still trade-off between the item we know we have to do versus the item we should do or start doing to be in the better shape. I think it's still this kind of trade-off we are making. But I agree, we don't have a clear success criteria, which means we don't know what will be the
So we
result.
have similar goals, for example, shorter cycle time, but now I think that we should probably define what does it mean? What are the success criteria? What is this cycle time we want to achieve?
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah. And I will pass this to my colleagues in the next round.
Me too.
Okay?
So, I don't know, when I listened to Ari and Michal yesterday and you today and try to put this together, yes, I see how fatal it can be how we organize to true agility. Because if it was about creating a team that has focus, and whether it's the size of a train that delivers to your customer, or it's the size of a value stream that delivers to your customer, or continue to scale up, if this is all split up, and you have to do all this coordination you talked about and everything, and all the communication lines, you put so many challenges in front of challenges in this change, and in even in the ability, I think, to learn and adapt, because you set up for failure in the beginning, in a way, to me. And if you could organize in a way that whatever size it is, you're focused on delivering the value, and then you can pull in the rest of the organization, like you talked about, business has different goals and things. You can actually start to have a conversation around, we're here to deliver the value, but we could do a better job with defining an MVP and how we work with customers and how it is we negotiate contracts even. But we hardly stand a chance to to make those kinds of improvements when the team that you're trying to put together and that's supposed to be acting as one actually isn't organized this way.
Yeah, that's I agree. We were set up in the failure, and I don't know how many of you know about that what we've done on the safe transformation. It was only the piece of the whole value we need to deliver to the customer, because we didn't tackle at all the guys on the pre-sales, which go to the customer and actually sell our product and talk to the real customer and sign the contracts. And we didn't touch at all the post-sales teams. It actually, when we deliver the software, they actually go and implement it and they install in the system and deploy it. So in order to I think that if we would like to be successful as optimize the flow, optimize the whole, you should look at all those pieces as well, because that might be the part when we need to have someone who actually talk about MVP at the front, and also to see what is at the end we can actually optimize to actually have easier deployment on the customer. Okay. Thank you.